Hello scientists, I'm Aegis Wolf. Welcome back to the gaming facility. This is episode 5 in a Let's Play series that I've been running on Abiotic Factor with the release of the game coming out on console, on Xbox and PlayStation on the 22nd of July. If you haven't seen the previous videos, there'll be a link down in the description for the playlist. Go back and watch from the start. We're basically running through how to get acquainted with the game and easy to miss things that you may miss during your first or subsequent playthroughs that will make the game a lot easier in setting yourself up to play. In today's episode, we're going to go through and keep working on fleshing out our base a little bit more and installing some more things. So today we're going to be focusing on setting up a proper bed as opposed to just having the couch there. I'm going to be looking at setting up a stove over here to use with the refrigerator. We'll also be looking at squaring away some melee equipment, so some blunt weapons and some sharp weapons for melee, and I'll possibly be looking at armor as well. You'll notice in the bottom left hand corner there's a little yellow icon that says that I need to go to the toilet. We're actually going to show the benefits of not doing that, as gross as that sounds, and why it is beneficial to take the weak bladder perk or the weak bladder trait when you first get started, because that relates to how quickly this toilet required buff goes down. So, and the consequences of not going to the toilet are easily mitigated, so it's not really something we have to worry about. So, as we get started in this episode, I'm going to be tracking down a lot of materials. So, the first thing that we're actually going to do to make life a little bit easier on us is we're going to come to the workbench and we're going to track down the recipes for what we're after. So I could go either with the Peccary Club or the Pipe Club. I think the Pipe Club has a lot more durability from memory. It's been a while since I've used either of these, so but we can actually pin it to the HUD, which will pop it in the top right hand corner there. Now this is actually even more beneficial because when we come to our storage or we're looting, it's going to highlight objects that we need in yellow. And this is going to be a huge time saver for us. It also means that when you are running around looking for stuff, it's easy to work out exactly what you need, as opposed to trying to second guess yourself by having to look up the recipes again. So we're going to do the Pipe Club. We are also going to grab one for makeshift bed, and finally we are going to pin the one for the stove. So you can see that we've got all three there. Now I do have, just going to dump the slushy as well. So I do have some of these objects already in my inventory. Actually, I could probably make the club straight away. Now let's have a look. Yes, I can. Excellent. So having the club is a pretty handy weapon early up. It just makes life a little bit easier when dealing with pests and peccaries and that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things that's just, it's better to have it in your inventory ready to go than not. Okay, I'm gonna drop the water. Let's also get rid of that. Okay, so what do I need for the portable stove? Okay, so I need that, I need that, and I need a keyboard. It looks like I've got all of those already as well. So this is the great thing about going through and pinning a recipe and highlighting it, is you'll often find that you have the equipment you need already prior to heading out and going and searching for it. So I'm going to unpin that as well. Now, what I'd normally like to do is tuck it in next to the refrigerator here. Also, you'll notice these blue sort of bubbles here. So this is the bubble radius from not only the power point, but also your power plugs, and I believe batteries. So these sort of extend the range. Now there's something that a lot of people miss in regards to all of this is to do with tech scrap. Now with tech scrap, you can actually take a connection and use tech scrap to place down an extension cord. Now, there have been people playing hundreds and hundreds of hours on this game who have missed this point. But then what I can do from here is I can actually place down an item, place down a thing that needs electricity and plug it in from there. So it looks like they've now limited how far you can actually... Have they? Yeah, it looks like they've limited how far you can... Huh. Okay. I'm not sure why it's saying max distance reached, so... Yeah, that's a little weird. But either way, these cost 1 tech scrap to place down. You can just pick them up again if you want to redo your base. And you don't lose any tech scrap. So it's a very, very handy when you are setting up your base and trying to work out what you want to do or where you want things, or trying to set up base defenses, which we will cover a little bit later. Yeah, this is a very handy thing to keep in mind, is that you're not just bound to this little bubble that they give you to begin with. So now I am going to want more batteries. So we are going to need some more supplies in that regard. Okay. Now I'm just going to, because the screwdrivers don't wear down, I'm actually just going to break one of these down, just turn it into metal scrap. Okay, so now next we want our makeshift bed, which is going to be a combination of wood, cloth scrap, and our office couch that we picked up previously. So we're just going to... Whoop. I'm going to need my other screwdriver to package that up. So now I can come back in and make this makeshift bed. So my understanding
I perceive a distinct
that,
lack of snacks.
This is just going to be a bit more comfy for us, and we actually regain our energy. Well, we regain our tiredness or our energy, however you want to put it, so that we're not tired quicker. So. Okay, so we've got the makeshift bed done.
Oh, I love coffee in my coffee hole.
So this is the co-worker. So there's a background and a lore behind the co-worker that I'm actually not going to cover but it's interesting to go through and read the journals, the journal entries and stuff that are in the computers. They're going to go through and give you a bit more information on how they work and just sort of the story and lore behind them. Okay, so the next things that I'm going to be looking at are armor. Now, armor comes in sets that you'll notice here. So we've got a 2 set and a 4 set. So if I have 2 of the same set, I'll get a certain bonus. If I have 4 of the same set, then I'll get another bonus. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But it's beneficial just to be aware of it. So, just gonna grab.
Hey, what's for lunch, pal?
Some of. So, and I've already got the stuff that I need to. That. So, this also gives me cold resistance +1. Now, what that actually means is, if you'll see down here, we've got a temperature gauge.
Buy low, sell high.
And this is where our current temperature is. And as we venture into different areas, this is going to slide up and down the bar. And there are going to be some areas where we need certain protective gear, either hot or cold, to enter into them. Otherwise, we start to take damage and that kind of stuff. Okay, what else have we got going on here? We don't need the cushion plate stuff anymore, so let's... That. Might just dump that for now. Dump those, I dump tech scrap. Now, when it is night time, there are going to be some other things that happen out in the facility. So, the first probably big one that you need to pay attention to is the robots. So, the security robots come online at night time, and they will walk around the facility, and you'll see that there's like a yellow cone in their vision. If you get caught in that yellow cone, the robots will actually come and track you down and attack you. So there's some ways that we can deal with that I will put in the next episode or the next couple of videos when we get to it. And so we don't have to worry about that. I'm just going to grab some food. This is the only thing that money is good for, as far as I know, so don't stress too much about trying to hold on to money. It's a pretty beneficial way to deal with your hunger early on in the game. Okay, let's recharge that. Now, one other thing that I will mention while we're here is that Warren will trade with us. So he'll trade an employee locator with us for Peccary. Now, I believe this is only used in multiplayer, and the scientists that are referred to are other players. The canned peas, however, he'll actually trade with us for root beer.
Right. Well,
and you can get root beer from vending machines, and then you can use the canned peas to make soups later on, which are more beneficial than having the root beer. Okay, so I'm going to need some more electrical stuff, so we're going to head back to the office sector. so that we can get the supplies that we need for some more makeshift batteries. Instead of worrying about the air-free helmet, I grab this. Okay. I'm going to come through and just grab some of the supplies that are in here as well, because normally you'll find useful food supplies in kitchen, as you can imagine. Okay, so we've got that. So this is all pretty straightforward at this stage. We're going through and picking up some of the gear that we're going to need to expand our base a little bit more. Basically, in order for us to set up anything else, we're going to need batteries, just to make sure that stuff stays powered overnight. Let's have a look. So the big thing that I'm after at the moment is like the computer tech stuff. Try and get in a few shots. Not doing too well there. It's alright. So if you can shoot a peccary or throw a net on them when they are charging up to charge you, then it'll actually stop their charging short. There we go. Cool. Now what have I got here that some stuff here that I'm probably going to drop, so I'm going to drop these two knives, given that I've already got one. Oh, that's unfortunate. I was hoping that it would drop some food for us. Oh, that's okay. So I'm going to run back and drop this stuff off. And I might break down some of this as well, just so that we've got that metal that we need. So you tend to use a lot of metal scrap, that kind of stuff in this game. And there are ways to farm it, to make life a little bit easier. And actually, that's one of the things that we are going to be covering, that the robots are useful for. So, okay. So we'll put those down so we can fry up stuff on those. Okay, so what do I need? Got everything that I need to make those. Excellent. Now the giant arrow that's on the blueprint is pointing the direction that the plug is going to be facing that comes out. So just connect that from there to there and grab that bottom plug, plug that in. So now our refrigerator is up and running as well. So that's actually going to keep all of this nice and cold, and it's going to stop this from degrading, which is going to be very beneficial given that we have started our farm over here. So we can see that these tomato plants have progressed to stage 2, but they've also used up a decent amount of water, so I might grab the bucket just so that we can top these off. Okay. So you'll see that I got a little bit of agriculture there from watering those, but by and large, the big amount of agriculture that we're going to get is just when those plants grow naturally. So it's fairly self-made maintenance, or self-doing as far as leveling up our agriculture. Once the plants grow to their full status, then this tends to fill up pretty quickly. But we don't have to worry about that too much. Okay, so looks like I'm going to need more battery stuff. So what do I need? So I need another one of those. I need 2 more scraps. So what have we got that we can break down? Sure, I've got... I don't need to break anything down. I've got stuff right here. What am I talking about? Okay, so I'm also going to need another power strip. Okay, so what I can do now is just plug that power strip in there. I'm gonna unplug this last this socket that I plugged in. I actually plugged that into there, so all of this is feeding through to there. Now, this battery is still the first thing that gets plugged in, and that then plugs into everything else. So the cable management for this can be a little bit tricky to stay on top of. So you just kind of have to remember what you're doing. It's a little bit, get a little bit complicated, but it's just sort of one of those things that you kind of get used to knowing what you're doing, I guess, or I do anyway. We'll plug that in. Excellent. So now that we've got this plugged in, the next thing that we're going to want to tackle, and we're going to do this next episode, is jumping on top of having a regular water supply. Because at the moment, when we get thirsty, we've been sort of relegated to having to run around to pick up or to access water from things like sinks. Like here, come and drink sink, and these slowly drip fill over time. You know, or finding the
Bit nippy in here, wouldn't you say?
the water bottles, the water coolers that are around the base. We're just gonna eat them. Well, make sure our food is topped up a bit.
I can't contain this
So,
much longer.
and in the next episode, we're also going to deal with this toilet time issue. So I'm going to wrap up the episode here, but now we've got our functioning stove set up. We have our bed set up. We've started to square away some of our armor. And, you know, our base is starting to take a little bit more shape. And we're going to discuss what we can do as far as cooking and the stove stuff a little bit more in the next episode, as well as water management. And we'll also look at doing a little bit more farming as that evolves through the episode. So if you liked this, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I've got a playlist in the notes for this series. I've also got another playlist of tips and guides that I've done previously, so go and look for that in the description as well. Until next time, don't forget to be awesome.